Perfect.
Okay, so again, we are here in the roundtable series of KMGN. After we had 2 successful roundtables this year on generative AI and on blockchain and FFT, we are today going to speak about digital transformation. All the topics we are speaking in connection and relevance to KM. The next meeting already we can share with you will be on September, and it will be speaking about extended reality, augmented reality, and how we can use them for KM in order to do better KM. The last roundtable of the year, not yet finalized, open to ideas. So whoever wants to come up with good ideas and good facilitator and good or panelists, please do so. Today with me are my colleagues, the experts here that will be our panelists. So first of all, please welcome Dr. Annie Green. Annie is a cognition and digital transformation expert from George Mason University, Virginia, USA. Annie, please say hello. Everyone can see you.
Hello.
Yes, we have together with us also Dr. Art Murray, CEO, Applied Knowledge Sciences Company from USA, building and curating digital bodies of knowledge, human and machine knowledge governance, and incorporating human sense-making into AI. Art, please say hello.
Yes, hello. And my camera light is on, but I don't see my image, so it just shows that I'm not sure I'm qualified because my digital transformation isn't quite up to speed for some reason.
Okay, so you are challenged, but we always need a challenged student in our class.
Okay.
We are sure you will manage it. Thank you.
Your mobile is closed.
So how's that?
The little thingy on your laptop on top of the camera is closed.
Okay.
Okay, no, I don't see that.
Okay.
So please check it. We also have with us now speaking Dr. Yesha Sivan, founder and CEO of Digital Roche, visit Professor Technion MBA in Israel. He was one of the first KMers in Israel, one of our founders. Yesha, please say hello.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me.
Together with me, sitting with me is Ron Young, Knowledge Asset Management, KM, and KM New Technologies expert from Cambridge, UK. And it's a wonderful place to be visiting him in Cambridge today. Hi, Ron.
Thank you. Nice to be with you, everybody.
Also, we have Dr. Cheng Gong, KM and Digital Transformation from Yunnan University of Finance and Economics from China. Cheng?
Hello all.
Great.
Greetings from China.
And I will be the facilitator today from Rome Global from Israel, ISO committee leader, ISO 3041 committee leader, and one of the KMGN leaders. Okay, so we can start. When we speak about digital transformation, many people give this term many different various explanations, may I even say definitions, taking it to different places. Some of them maybe just trying to be more accurate, like we're doing on KM, everyone coming with different definitions, but many times also misleading us to different places, to improper, I would even say, definitions, because digital transformation is a good thing, a good concept. So everyone tries to use it whatever they do. So to start on the right place, in the right place, I asked Cheng to come up, first of all, with an explanation on the difference between digitalization, and digital transformation, and to define digital transformation based on research she has been doing together with Vincent, our friend. So Cheng, the floor is yours. Please start.
Thank you. Let me just have a moment to share my screen, if that's okay. Okay. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yep.
All right, then that means we're good to go. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Moria, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Cheng Gong. I'm very delighted to be here to share with you my understanding about digital transformation for our discussion today. Well, like Dr. Moria just mentioned, nowadays more and more people are talking about all these concepts on the screen, even use them interchangeably to describe various strategic and organizing activities, assuming they're talking about the same thing, even though they're using different concepts. However, from a historical usage perspective, we found that these concepts should be differentiated. And basically, let's talk about the organizational context first. So digitization, just a moment. So digitization on your on your bottom left side is the technical process of converting analog into digital formats. Means converting zeros and ones, pretty simple. Digitalization on your upper left side is the change process of installing digital technologies to reinforce the organization's existing value proposition. So aligning with the illustration of Danvers' sister in his figure here in the middle, digitization and digitalization are benefiting from digital technologies, yet still doing business as usual. Digital transformation, on the other side, is the fundamental change process of an organization, enabled by exploring the use of digital technologies to redefine its business models. So a well-known analogy in this case would be transforming from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So if we look at it from an overall perspective, digital transformation not only happens at the organizational level, but also at the business, industry, and societal levels. So after analyzing 134 well-received published digital transformation definitions, Dr. Vincent and I found 6, we call it core defining primitives of this concept, and proposed a unified definition on your left-hand side. So let me read it out. Digital transformation is a fundamental change process enabled by the innovative use of digital technologies, accompanied by the strategic leverage of key resources and capabilities, aiming to radically improve an entity and redefine its value proposition for its shareholders. So again, we emphasized that the nature of digital transformation is a fundamental change. And as you can see on the screen, the green part, including digital technologies, key resources, and capabilities, are the methods involved in creating the fundamental change within the targeted entities. So an entity could be an organization, a business network, an industry, or a society. And digitalization, we think it focuses more on the economic-driven outcomes, such as digitizing problematic processes in operations, or let's say the automation of inefficient processes to optimize the workflow efficiency or cost reduction and productivity. Digital transformation, on the other hand, focuses more on the capability-driven outcomes, such as business model innovation, new revenue streams, radical changes in offerings, and game-changing restructures. That's the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. All right, that's it from me, and I hope that brings some ideas for today's discussion. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Moria.
Cheng, please leave the definition on the screen for a few minutes.
Sure.
What we see here, if we look at the green parts, is not only that we use the new technologies, the new digital technologies in an innovative way, but we also have to strategically leverage our resources and capabilities. And that's, for my understanding, where we KMers can come in first time. And then what do we have to do with it? use the technologies in an innovative way, add our understanding how to strategically leverage our resources and capabilities, allowing also economic-driven outcome and also capability in outcome in order to work better or to give to offer a better value proposition. Brilliant. Thank you, Cheng, and thank you, Vincent. We will leave this slide for a few minutes, and I want to ask our panelists if they want to refine the definition, add their perspective, add something that is important, if they think, to the definition of digital transformation as they see it. Or come up with a different perspective, what digital transformation is. Annie, do you want to add anything?
Sure. I'm a little bit, like I said, moving around the technologies and innovation right now. I think they're needed, but I also think that we need to look at things in somewhat of a different perspective sometime. A simple case is like a ATM, an automatic teller machine, was not new. It was augmenting a teller, a bank teller. And so it does the same process. The only change is that it is digital. So it's a digital representation of a person that performed that job. So I also think that in history, we've been headed down this path, but a lot of times we get derailed by digital technologies, and we sometimes get derailed by innovation, that we think that it is something that is clearly new, but it's actually just a digital twin of our reality. So we need to be cognizant of that we're not necessarily making changes to it. What we're doing is changing the format that we're using it in. And that should help us to be faster. So I love the definitions of, because I've been pushing that too, of digitalization, and digital transformation, because that is an evolutionary step. And even in the United States years ago, we had the Government Paper Elimination Act, which was a perfect thing to go into digitalizing a lot of the documents that we had stored. But we forgot about the use of them on the next end of how we would incorporate them for value proposition within the organization. So I think that, in looking at digital transformation, that sometimes we need to really be intentional and look at what we are augmenting, what we're bringing forth that is the same, and what we are then innovating. So that's kind of my perspective on it, just taking a different view.
Thank you. Business models, not only digital models. Yesha, did you want to add something?
So much to add. At the end of the day, it's an organizational endeavor to capitalize on the changes, both internally and externally, that stems from new technologies. So if the world is changing, and that has to do with employees, has to do with customers, has to do with the competitors, has to do with the suppliers. If the world is changing, then the organization must change. And that is the effort of digital transformation. The challenge of digital transformation for organizations is that it is usually very complex endeavor that relate to many parts of the business and has several parts to it. So that's sort of the bottom line for that. More and more, and I think that relates to the second part, which I will talk later about AGI, the bigger the change, the bigger the need for transformation.
Thank you. So you took us to the next question about regarding the challenges that organizations face towards digital transformation, because it looks like a very good idea, and why not? So please, Ron, would you share with us some of the challenges?
Well, can I first of all just share my perspective on digital transformation? I mean, I agree with the definition. They're good definitions, actually. I like it. I like this caterpillar to butterfly very much as well, the larger perspective, okay? But what I'd like to add to the conversation is, for those of you that know me and my work, I'm a great fan of Peter Drucker. And I've got with me a very ripped up post-capitalist society book of the 1990s. If I can, I want to read 3 sentences, which I think will add to the conversation on digital transformation. If you haven't heard this, the 3 sentences are: every few hundred years in Western history, what in an earlier book he called a divide, within a few short decades, society rearranges itself, its worldview, its basic values, its social and political structure, its arts, its key institutions. 50 years later, they're a new world. And the people born then cannot even imagine the world in which their grandparents lived and into which their own parents were born. And I know this very well as a grandfather, okay. And he went on finally to say, we are currently living through such a transformation. For me, having been involved in IT and software over many, many years and seeing the evolution of information and computing technologies and the digitals, I agree with the definitions, but what I believe is that digital transformation for me is a part of a bigger transformation, a very big, important part of a bigger transformation. And that transformation is the knowledge transformation, okay? And I think that's the major change in society. The way that we create and apply knowledge, and digital transformation will contribute significantly to it. But that's how I see it, as a knowledge transformation.
Thank you very much. I will relate to that later. Okay. Thank you. Do you want to speak about the challenges? Why isn't it a piece of cake?
Well, I still think it's primarily the challenges we will find are around resistance to change. And that resistance to change and everything that goes with it, we all know very well. It's a lack of education, and we need to do that. That's the biggest challenge. Culture, education, 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 as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Art, would you like to add?
Sure, I can add to what everybody has said so far, but let me pick up from what Ron was saying about the challenge being the resistance to change. There's a flip side to that, and organizations encounter this challenge that I call BSOS, which is bright, shiny object syndrome. So where one might be resisting change, others will see some bright, shiny object like ChatGPT or some new technology, and they'll want to dive right into it and think it's the next greatest thing. And we need to embrace this right away. Everybody else is doing it. We need to hop on board. And of course, that's going down the wrong direction also. And as we find in many organizations that embrace technology just because of its popularity, you end up you're inefficient already, and now you're inefficient at the speed of light. And so there's really no digital transformation. So that's why I like Dr. Cheng's definition here. The thing I would add to that, and this would also help answer the question of overcoming the challenge, is there still needs to be, and what I would add to here somewhere, is the notion of strategy. And you have strategic there, and strategic points to resources and capabilities, but don't forget, you need to go higher than that at even a broader level. Executive leadership in conjunction with the workforce needs to examine what transformation is going on the outside, and I believe that was mentioned, but then say, how do we as an organization, as an entity, need to adjust our mission, vision, and then strategy, and then given that flows to the business model, then to the capabilities and all of the different elements that you then decide need to prioritize in order to make that transformation. So that's the one thing I would add. Focus on, don't forget to go back up to the 50,000 foot level. And before you do any of these things at the tactical level, which is many of the bullets in blue on the diagram are, definitely look at the strategic level and where you fit into the grand scheme of things, and then how you adjust accordingly.
Great. That again brings us to why this definition is brilliant, saying it's not only technology, you have to add the second part, the people, the strategy, the strategic use. I think that one of the problems is that, like with debriefing, people think that only if they will change something in the digital company or the digital digitalization, they're already doing digital transformation. And there are too many consultants that sell these products of doing nothing, just adding more digitalization. Now, that's not only because they're cooks. I won't say that most of them are, even probably aren't, but it's because it's a very challenging job. Because in order to, what we want to do, to reinforce an existing value proposition, or in order to redefine a value proposition, we have to do it in a smart way, and we don't yet have the recipe. So we have several methodologies that can help us on our way. But as we don't have a recipe, and people really, they want something new, something bright, something shiny, but they don't know how to do it. So therefore, they are looking for easy shortcuts. And I think that that would be problem number one. Of course, problem number two is not connecting it to the business needs, to the challenges, to the risks, to the opportunities, to the objectives, and therefore just doing what you can with no strategical view and with no strategical utilization of the resources and the capabilities, take too many organizations to no change, or to small changes that, of course, are not digital transformation. Any one of the panelists, or Vincent, you can jump in, or anyone else wants to add before we continue?
Yeah, I actually wanted to add to it. And I want to kind of go off of what Ron said. The thing is, knowledge is the transformation. And I think a lot of what has happened is that we aren't intentional, and that people look, again, at technology as a solution. I'll give an example like Miro. Miro is a collaborative tool that's very wonderful because it's digital and we can pull things together. But we've been doing that like in Six Sigma and Kaizen for quite some time, where you do it manually. But you have to put thought into it and determine, what knowledge you want to get out of it. So now we have so many people doing this, but it is taken as is, and there's no intention to what knowledge they want to gain out of it. So I think that piece about having knowledge and being intentional about knowledge and defining what it is you want to get out of something, the outcome, that's what helps to support the technologies to actually be more effective. But I think most people that use them now are not clear on that point. So they don't understand how we should insert the technology so that we can gain the value we want.
Okay, thank you, Annie. And I think that if I want to summarize it, I look at the transformation we are all waiting for, the game changer, as a business transformation with like a table with 4 legs. One of them is digital. The second is data. So you can have combinations of digital transformation, digital-based transformation, data-based transformation, but there are 2 additional legs. And that's where we KMers come in and going to be very valuable. There's a knowledge leg, a knowledge transformation part, and there is a collaboration leg. So if we take these 4 legs of knowledge, what I have in my company, what I have within me, collaboration with others, not collaboration with team, but collaboration with other organizations, add to these 2 parts, the digital usage, new digital usage, and add to this the fourth part, which is the data, the big data usage, use them all in a way, innovative way that together together you can probably get to new heights, new solutions that are revolutionary, and therefore get to this game-changing, what we call here digital transformation, but probably, Annie, you are right, and we should call it business transformation. Let us continue. I want to ask you, if we started to speak about KM, what are the roles of the KMers in the digital transformation journey? Ron, please start.
All right. Well, I'll start off by saying if we look at the current roles, the role that I have, which for some is popular and some is not, is Chief Knowledge Officer. And one of the roles of that person, knowledge and innovation, or whatever you like to call them, is to continually appraise the new emerging technologies, as well as anything that can bring about change. You see, when I think about just the word transformation, I think about words like redefine, that's been said earlier, or radical, or what you just said, Mariah, revolutionary. Now, sometimes that can be a technology. The mobile phone had a revolutionary, radical change to society.
Yeah.
And communications culture generally, okay? Equally, knowledge, if we have different ways to create it, faster, better, more higher quality, radical change to society. And so I think the person that's responsible at the higher level in the organization should be continually appraising things, and digital transformation affects that role, but it doesn't replace it. I'm always appraising, researching, and learning. The knowledge managers at the more, so that's a strategic level, if you like.
Yes, but what do we do in the daily job?
On the operational side, looking at that and then looking at knowledge workers, on the operational side, I think it's going to have a huge impact together with AI on the roles to do with managing knowledge bases, knowledge-based managers. Let's take that, people like that. Knowledge workers, it's going to impact everybody. Everybody these days is a knowledge worker to one degree or the other. And so digital transformation must affect the roles in knowledge management from the highest strategic level to everyday embedded in the work we do.
Ron, I want to ask you the same question, but in the opposite. You are looking at the end of the journey and saying that it will impact us. But I'm asking you, how can we help it happen? How can we help our organizations as knowledge managers go through this journey even more successfully in a better way than today we do?
With digital transformation. Well, again, I think the starting point is, do people understand what it is? Education. Do they understand not only what it is, but what impact it has? What does it mean to them? What's in it for me? That's the key thing, isn't it? If people understand not just what's in it for the organization and the benefits to the organization, but as we're always teaching, what's in it for me? What's in it for my team? And I can't see how we can do that other than through education.
Thank you. Sitting in Innovation Center of Education.
Education, to me, yes.
Thank you. Yesha?
You want me to go to the AGI part or not yet?
No, not yet. I'm asking you as to the how we KMers, I'm asking the same question. How can we KMers help this journey? Because we see that there are a lot of challenges. Too many organizations don't really succeed in this journey of digital transformation. You know, the changes that come from the outside come. But if we want to be competitive and we want to lead the change, the digital transformation, what is our role as KMers? What should we do to help our organization succeed in such a digital transformation? How can we help leading this journey?
So in a very practical way, for people that carry titles that has to do with knowledge inside organizations. And for that matter, any consulting, part-time or full-time to an organization, the key is to get closer and closer to the digital transformation effort. Every organization has a digital transformation effort. Could be nascent, could be initial stages, could be full-blown. To get closer and closer to that process and participate in it by taking concrete tasks. Usually a digital transformation is at the end of the day an action of a set of portfolio. And the selection of the actual actions within the portfolio stems from a combination of maturity, of business needs, and at the end of the day, the potential leaders inside the organization. So KMers should know more about knowledge, know more about data in the deepest way. And of course, data is the new oil because of AI, so that's an important part. So I would get closer and closer to these projects and participate, perhaps lead this with obviously the IT people that are in charge and have the keys to the actual databases and the data processes. So that would be my advice for people who have the title of KM.
Thank you. Art, what is your advice for the KMOs?
Yes, and again, I'm going back to basics and picking up from what Ron, I also have Post-Capitalist Society on my bookshelf, along with many of other Drucker's books. And remember, Drucker said an organization only does two things: marketing and innovation, okay? And everything else is an expense. So let's look at the innovation side, that for KMers, how can we improve the innovation? And of course, part of innovation means you have to be failing. And if you're going to be failing a lot, you better be learning. So that cycle of innovating and learning at a speed faster than the changes in your market is the way your organization keeps pace and even can lead the changes in the marketplace. That's a perfect insertion point for knowledge management. How do and remember, we changed our institute name way back from the Institute for Knowledge Management to the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation, because they go together absolutely hand in glove. So for KMers, how do I enhance and help that innovation and learning cycle and make that faster and better so that we can keep pace, not only keep pace, but maybe even lead the changes in our marketplace?
Thank you. So if I understand correctly, you're saying we help acquiring the knowledge, whether if purchasing parts of it, finding parts of it, and innovating by ourselves parts of it, developing the new knowledge, acquiring it. That's part A. And part B, you're saying, after we try things, in the loop, we have to learn. And the debriefing session, we as KMers know how to do it in a very methodological way that is both effective and efficient, so that the lessons will help us having better loops, easier loops, and learning more, and therefore getting to better results.
That is correct. And that is a nice plug for your book on lessons learned, Moria, which I also have. And yes, that lays it out very well. It's exactly right.
Thank you. Annie, what would be your advice for the KMOs?
Actually, I'm going to feed off of what Ron said, too. I am also an avid Peter Drucker follower, and one of the biggest pieces that he had was the knowledge worker. He did an extensive amount of work on the knowledge worker, and I remember part of it saying, and this might be paraphrased, but if we do not engage them, we will fail miserably. Okay, so you have to, I think, like with what Ron said, it has to come in a top-down fashion and a bottom-up fashion, and most people don't want to follow those two trends. So strategically coming with a strategy that knows what we're supposed to be with the outcome of of knowledge for the organization or for the community or whatever you're doing that for, But you also got to start at the primitive level. And that's what's in it for me, for the people, so that they value it and so they're engaged and so that they're giving the quality knowledge that you need. So I am so on board with that concept, and always think that most organizations need to take both perspectives, which is let's go top down, but let's also marry it up with bottom up so that we get that primitive view so that we don't lose the people who are the knowledge workers that are making this happen. Because they're very valuable. I mean, remember that and I always emphasize this, and again, coming with Peter Drucker, those knowledge workers are assets to an organization. Most of the time we look at them as liabilities because they get paid, but they're actually assets because what's in their head doesn't stay when they leave, okay? So that means that capital belongs to them, but them to an organization, they are an asset, and we must begin to treat them that way and treat them with value. And that starts with the CKO in their position of making certain that what is conveyed upward to the C level is what we're actually propagating down into the workforce.
Right. So we're adding here the term of change management, and we are also the agents of change management, doing it bottom up and top down. In addition to other things that were said, I want to add one last perspective or one last idea. I think that too many times when organizations enter the digital transformation, they forget the experts. And I want to add the term augmentation. We as KMers are great in not only analyzing business needs, that there are other roles in the organization that know how to do it, but finding the knowledge that is in the knowledge bases and that is in the minds of the experts, and augmenting them together, combining them together with the machine's wisdom in order to get better results and in order to really find the gold of the digital transformation. Vincent, I know that you are not a panelist here, but I can't let you stay silent. What do you want to add?
Well, I mean, based on what was already said, I think the learning and the trial and error are important. I think, I mean, it's difficult to imagine what the future might be, and we need to go by increments, try things, learn what works, what doesn't work, and pivot quite rapidly based on that. So I think the learning happens all along the way, and digital transformation does not have an end to it, right? I mean, that's something that will continuously be happening. So all along there will be new learnings, new refining, and this will generate new knowledge or update some existing knowledge that will have to be managed along the way. So yes, there is I mean, at the end of the day, as we all know, knowledge is in people's head. And so AI tools rely heavily on data, as it was mentioned, but these data also need a bit of wisdom or knowledge from the human being combined with it. I mean, you cannot just let machine rely just on data, on statistics, or on what's available online. So I think there is a need also to link whatever has been codified with whatever has not yet been codified, for them to work hands in hands to make sense, or to be able to interpret what this new AI tool might come up with. So I mean, I see that the knowledge manager will have a role all along the way to maintain the existing knowledge, to update it, to curate it, and all of these activities that are important along this digital transformation process.
Great, thank you, Vincent, because you are reminding us that it's not a one-time sprint or one-time marathon even, but it's something cyclic. So it's not only that we have to help it happen, but we have to be there when it first happens, and to collect the things, to manage the things, to package the knowledge, the new wisdom, the new expertise, the tacit knowledge that evolves, and to be there and start classically, traditionally managing the knowledge, not only on the journey, but on as regular knowledge management, because it's going to be an endless journey that is going to be getting only to new heights that we didn't even dream about. You want to add?
I would just say that you mentioned the word cycle, and I think that's important rather than circular. What Art said earlier about learning and innovation is incredibly powerful, what he said, because if it's done correctly, it's a virtuous cycle of added value. That's what that learning innovation dance is doing, incredibly powerful. And digital transformation will contribute to making that virtuous cycle happen even better.
And this dance being a very special dance.
A very special dance, yes.
Thank you. We will stop for a minute and we will ask Yesha to explain the idea of AGI in order to continue to the second part of our conversation. Yesha, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, Moria, I want to thank you for pushing the agenda of KM for so many years with such strong and diligent leadership. Highly appreciated. And I remember the early days when we discussed these issues, and I applaud your consistency. So that's item number one. I'm not sure who mentioned the new shiny thing, but there is a new shiny thing in the world. I don't know if you noticed, and it has a new name to it. And there's several names to it, but for the sake of discussion, we'll call it AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. When Moria invited me to discuss this matter, I told her it's anywhere between 6 to 16 hours. You have to pick. But only I was left with 6 minutes at the end. So I will try in 6 minutes to explain to you what is interesting about it. And I also have actually, this is an interesting challenge for me. And I've actually had to create a special slide, new slide, just for this event, which is a momentous from my point of view. Allow me to share my slide with you. So welcome to the AGI elephant, Artificial General Intelligence elephant. I called this 6 minutes 5 myths and facts about it. And it's really designed just to excite us about this new domain. And also I have an assumption that some people know more and some people know less. So I have to deal with diversity in the classroom challenge in the next couple of minutes. So this is the beginning of my lecture. All of them starts exactly like that. It's the AGI elephant, following the amazing famous story about the 5 monks that went into a room. The room was dark and they were blind, and everybody was touching different parts of it and, of course, imagining different things. So for many people, AGI is just a smart search engine replacing Google, but of course that's the beginning. For me personally, it's a huge social problem. Some people think it's a personal programmer, and they're probably right, because in programming, the value of AGI is the most. It's a closed world and amazing accomplishment done in the area of programming. Some people see it as a visual creator. And of course, this entire elephant was generated using artificial intelligence. You can see it from the side over here. And some people say it's the end of humanity. And today I actually read research that over 1,000 researchers voted, and they said it's only 10% that it will actually destroy humanities. Only 10%. So we'll think about that. So that's the elephant. I created the elephant, of course, using AGI, and I'm going to use that as an example because we actually created just the middle of it. And this side was actually enhanced by another artificial intelligence. And you already see the pattern here. It's not just one tool. In fact, it's many, many tools that you can combine together. And the idea is that you can combine together several tools to create a unified approach. This actually means that you take the stones over here and you extend them automatically. That's the kind of tool that we have here. And notice that I'm not talking about words at all. I'm talking completely visual. And you also see that the control of the two tools handed by the individual, by the human factor, is the important point. Again, this is an example. In 2 clicks, that's from a second lecture that I gave, you can of course change the background, and using the prompt of a Zen garden with many orange flowers, you immediately get this image or this image or this image. It's all done in a matter of seconds. This is the power, or this is one sample to the power of AGI today. Google has illustrated that very nicely when they describe Palm 2. Palm 2 is their answer to GPT-4. And notice the kinds of abilities that this system have with their Palm 2 model, 540 billion parameters, starting from translation all the way to physics Q&A. Physics Q&A. Physics Q&A means that if you show a picture to Palm 2 with balloons held by a child, and you tell them what will happen if the child will cut the rope of the balloons, the machine will tell you the balloons will fly up because gravity is not holding them together. And this is all pure understanding, no semantics inside, only from the mathematics of relationship. To kick off the conversation, I want to mention 2 things and tie it back to the idea of digital transformation. At the end of the day, digital transformation, according to the model that I use a lot, is a combination of 4 things. It's the technology itself, it's the business potential that it generates, it's the underlying culture, where of course KM is an important player, and it is the leadership to take the organization forward despite the many difficulties that these 3 forces create. Now I'm showing this to show you what is the small location of AGI. The AGI is at the end of the day just one more technology that the organization has to deal with on top of many other technologies and many other changes. The challenge is that it is a huge technology, and we have not seen such a technology in the last 100 years. 5 myths and facts regarding AGI. Number 1, AGI is a smart search engine. The answer is no. It is much, much, much more than that. Myth 2, it's about text writing. Fact, much more. Visual, video, sounds, DNA, any set of data, any kind of data, all can be put into the algorithm, the transformer, and you can all generate from it. Very, very powerful. And the latest is what we call multimodality. Namely, you have in the same database both images and DNA and text and robotics, etc. Myth number 3, organizational implementation should be easy. Just sign up to the LLM from Microsoft or from OpenAI or from Google and you implement it. Of course, that's completely wrong. All the challenges of transformation are still here in a big way. And since AGI is a big change, the challenge is big. Number 4, AGI is just for big organizations. My answer will surprise you. The answer is yes, it is for big organizations, and mid-level organizations will not be able to harness the value of AGI at all. If your IT department is less than 100 people, you are doomed to fail. That's it. It's very, very complicated. On the other hand, if you are a small organization planning to use off-the-shelf combinations of AGI tools, you're in for a huge win. And a small organization can become huge if they are utilizing this. It's like an advanced version of cloud computing. You can be 10 people, you can act like a 1,000 people if you combine the right tools and do it in the speedy way. Several off-the-shelf, what we call ERP of AGI, already out there to help you do that in a very efficient way. If you ask me the names, I'll give you it later. And number 5, as usual with technologies, it will create more jobs, because this is what happened in the last 100 years. And I must admit that I fear personally that this is not the case. And it is for the first time we have a technology that will destroy more jobs than it will create. So that ends my 6 minutes. I hope I've given you a little bit of stuff to think about.
Thank you, Yesha. So please share with us, how does digital transformation change because of this new generative combined AI or augmented GI?
Okay, so this is of course, is happening all over. IT managers in all organizations are being called either by their CEO or even director level. Then what are we doing with AGI? And they are rushing to do some pilot projects to do something. And McKinsey and BCG and smaller organizations and other are rushing to give them something to do. And they're all doing small pilots with zero results and meaningless outcomes, like it's always the case. To do a deeper use of AGI, you really need to be a mature organizations when it comes to transformation. You have to know how to transform. And many organizations do not know that. Organizations that have done the transformation once and are ready for the next cycle of transformation will be able to capitalize on this in the right way. And there are several tips and tricks how to deal with it. I always tell organizations, before you go into an AGI project, please tell me the status of your Active Directory. And if the status of your Active Directory is not up to par, and you don't have groups and you don't have single sign-on unified, you will never be able to do anything that has to do with AGI. Now, it's very, very simple. People tell me, what's the connection? Tell me, it means that you're not mature enough to capitalize on the basic technologies of our organizations. How are you going to use AGI? It means that your data structure is not correct. It means that your knowledge structure is not correct. How are you going to use this is a big question. So it is affecting digital transformation in a big way. Budgets are moving from classical digital transformation into AGI digital transformation because it's the shiny thing. And IT managers all over need to deal with that. My recommendations to all organizations is to be in the explore mode, not in the exploit mode. We're not yet, the tools are not mature enough to start using them immediately, with the exception of experimentation here and there. In marketing, you can play, you want to generate images, advertisement, interesting experiment there. So here and there. So now it's time, again, a word that was used earlier, learning, I think is a great time for, a great usage of our time now.
Thank you, Yesha, also for your fascinating explanation and analogy. We love the elephant and the monks, and also for your adding your perspective. And people, yes, run Active Directory tests in organizations. Annie, I'm hearing your brain thinking. I'm seeing the wheels walk.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is thinking. Yesha, I'm sitting here. I love your perspective. It sounds so great. And I was just sitting here thinking, though, that trends have shown that digital transformation efforts are failing at 70% right now. And, most organizations are not prepared for it. And even with the 30%, they're not really on the top level of the spectrum. So I was just listening to his last words, and I'm like, wow, those are so profound in that he's coming out with them rather than saying, hey, this is a great tool, let's start using it. You're like, look, it's a great tool, but we got to take caution and make certain that we have that readiness in place before we move forward. So yeah, you're right. You saw my mind going a lot. Thanks, Yesha.
You want to add, Annie, what would you suggest? What is your advice to KMers specifically, or to organizations in general, when we are now speaking about the age of AGI and implementing digital transformation?
I know that with AGI, it's actually kind of been around for a while, but he defined it much better. And there are two other levels that supersede that. I'm at a point right now, like I said, that I love technology, and technology is not what I fear. It is actually the morality and the thoughts of man and whether they're influenced. And so I think technology can actually catapult us into a magnificent living where, you know, we would get that better, faster, and what is it, better, faster, and cheaper model that we've been looking for years. But
We've lost you, Annie. You're muted.
Really am at the point where I think we're doing, because I don't believe that most people understand the actual steps that need to be taken, understand how it fits in, again, inserted into our business models and how we work with it or how we need to change them. Again, radical change or revolutionary change, it's all great and we can put it into place, but we have to be intentional about it, meaning that we have to have awareness of what we're doing. And we also need to reduce the influence that we're taking of the next new shiny thing. Every time something comes out, everybody, when it hits the right note, they jump on it and they go running. And then we kind of fail. Well, I don't say fail miserably, but we are not successful, okay, at what we're trying to do. So I'm still stuck with, we got to be intentional about what we're doing.
Well, yeah, I want to add, and I think an important point, and even a show of hands. So how many people here have actually paid $20 and got the license to play with GPT?
Thank you.
Now,
we are two in this room.
Not put your hand up. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's very simple. That's it. So you have not won your place in the table. Why I'm saying this? It is impossible to understand what this technology is doing from looking at YouTube and listening to Yesha or Moria, or it's impossible. You have to sit down in front of a computer, pay the $20, activate the model PDF reading file, bring in a paper of your past, and start to converse with this particular paper. And then ask, give me more papers like this paper. And then you ask, give me the theory that is contradicting to my paper. And then you say, draw it in a picture. Only when you do that, you start to understand the power of this technology. I'll give you a concrete example. I had a license for this for the last 3 years. I played with it. I'm telling you, in November, I was shocked. I was shocked that they took it out. I was shocked that they were able to open it up to millions of people. The engineering feast is amazing here. It's really unbelievable challenge. The scalability is tremendous. And I tried to play around with it by asking something like that. Give me example of female leadership in the Avatar movie. Okay, boom, I get 5 examples. Present this in a table, boom, I get it in a table. Add the exact time and place where the leadership was exhibited in the movie, boom, I get another column with the time. And then I said, what else can you tell me? And the GPT said, do you want me to do it also for Avatar 3 and 4? And I said, yes, boom, 4 tables. Now, how we get it? Because he has the script already of Avatar 3 and 4, and they can do it. That's it. So this is just a tiny examples. The magnitude of the change here, that's what I'm trying to, people tell me, what do you need to do? I said, if you talked to me about a year ago, I would tell you what to do. I know exactly. You need to check your this portfolio. I need to evaluate IoT. All this stuff we know. For the first time, We have no idea what's going on. This is a technology that is so powerful that it's much, much beyond what we had in the past. In the past, I think somebody mentioned that. It was an extension of what we used to do. What is email? It's mail automatically. What is a web? It's like a page that you see. Okay, we understand that. This thing is thinking better than most of us in most of the field, and they never get tired. So I urge you to ask what KM people should do, delve into the details.
Okay, we will. And we are doing it every day. Art. You're next.
Sure, some thoughts to add. This has been fantastic discussion. So let me just, give one general thought, maybe dive into the specifics a little bit. In the general sense, we should always remember that computers and technology are computational in nature, right? Humans are natural systems, biological, and even have consciousness swimming around up there. So the humans still have a human aspect that are not present in machines. Machines, as powerful as they are, and as Yesha is talking about, able to pick up segments from Avatar movies and all, that is all monstrous, raw computation. And that's the power that we're seeing and are marveling at. So that's what we need to understand. Let's use that computational power, but augmented with our human intuition, thought, creativity. So we can get, and I think the ideal arrangement would be humans teaching machines and machines teaching humans. And together we accomplish more than either one could alone. The one thing we don't want to do is simply take the output of the machines at face value. We want to say, we want that human element saying where we put the output, we look at the output of the machine and say, does this make sense? And as we're finding, sometimes it doesn't make sense. We feed that back into the algorithms, and we have, again, that learning loop, right? Ongoing loop where we're growing, that virtuous cycle. Machines are generating new knowledge, but humans are feedback about that knowledge, helping the machines generate even better knowledge, but humans are gaining insights prompted by the machine. So that's number one. Number two, a little bit more at a technical level, I want to caution, Moria mentioned it back earlier on in the session, knowledge and data. And one of the things we're observing in this digital transformation is everybody's becoming very obsessed with data, big data, data analytics, crunch. Again, the computational power. But remember, I go back to our early days of expert systems where we use deductive inference. That was where we took proven principles, right? The general proven principles, and used technology to generate specific recommendations based on proven knowledge and principles. A lot of today's analytics is going in reverse. It's using induction. It's crunching the numbers and saying, here's what we observe generally. And you have, as if you studied this, the fallacy of induction. So that's just a caution, not to focus solely on the data and the number crunching, because it's potentially flawed. In a lot of ways it's accurate, but we've seen we get inaccurate results, and that's one of the reasons why. So what's the role for KM? KM, we need to up our game, and we can promote what's the third version of inferencing called abductive reasoning, where KMers can be the guide to help this process by generating and testing hypotheses, which ChatGPT and other AI tools can help us do, but providing the adult supervision, providing the governance for that knowledge process. So we're not totally dependent on the data and what machines are telling us. We're not solely dependent on humans with our flaws. We promote this abductive reasoning where we bring these two magnificent worlds together. And that's where the excitement, at least in my opinion, where the excitement will really lie ahead, and amazing discoveries are yet to be made.
Thank you, Art. Ron, what is your advice to digital transformation in the age of AGI?
Wow, that's a really big question, isn't it? But I think Art said it all beautifully. I just want to add to that, but not very much. I had the privilege of listening to the lecture of Professor Geoffrey Hinton, who's received a lot of publicity recently, at Cambridge University on the 27th of May, when he talked about the two intelligences, the biological intelligence and the digital intelligence, and how he was concerned leaving. One of the reasons he left Google was just to make sure there was enough focus placed on the safety. And for those of you that, and it was mentioned earlier by Yesha, actually, the AI researchers who were asked what they thought about the existential threat of AI, if we take that other extreme, and 10%. They felt there was a 10% risk. The question the people respond to that is, would you get on an aeroplane that you were told that the risk of the engines failing is 10%? Most people would not. Okay. And those that know my work know that I'm interested in standards for information, standards for knowledge, standards for innovation that are concerned with quality and safety. And the one thing that we haven't talked about yet is regulation of AI. And right now, it is a fact, whether we like it or not, that the US government is very actively involved. And there is the Office to the President, the AI Committee for the Office to the President, recommending on regulations. The European Union have got the AI Act to a situation that it's likely to be in force. It'll probably be enforced in 2024, 2025, but it will be a legal instrument at the end of this year. The UK government is spending 100 million on a task force for safe foundational models. And the British Standards Institution has got an AI hub, as the Israeli AI hub, very active in trying to get the right balance. And that's why I come back to what Art said, because as he said, it's not about either human or AI. It's both and. It's both recognizing, as he put it eloquently, what the human has which AI doesn't have, but equally what AI has which the human doesn't have. And as soon as we start to work with that, I think the better, rather than concerned about which one. One final point, which gives me a bit of hope as well, is because I like the principles-led standards, because principles change not so rapidly, if at all, to technologies and processes and people. I was very interested to hear that one of the big players in AI, Anthropic, they have coined a term I rather like. It's called constitutional AI, which is principles-led AI, linking to aligning it with human values. That's pretty good, I think.
One comment regarding this.
Yeah.
It's all, you know that OpenAI also had principles.
I do, of course, and I know Google have principles, and I know they all have good principles. I just
OpenAI had principles until Microsoft paid them $10 billion. And Anthropic also had principles until Google paid them 300 million. So I'm saying just all need to be aware, it's a big play here.
Okay, fair said. I want to come back to and start closing. First of all, I want to take to the KMOS that are listening here to us, and I want to give us several practical, I think, ideas what to do. First of all, we have to continue acting on digital transformation in the same methods. Susskind has taught us how to look at the new era of the digital era. And I think that that AGI would work the same, saying, okay, we want a digital transformation. Let's take the value, let's take the processes, let's take the added value, and let's break it into pieces. Let's break into pieces the processes, let's break into pieces and small components, the added value that we want, that we are providing. what the customer needs, taking everything and breaking into small Lego bricks. And then we again can redefine or resuggest our value. So the main methodology of breaking things into pieces and checking out how with our capabilities, human, machine, blended, how to rebuild them should continue no matter what technology we're speaking, including AGI. At the same time, I want to come back to the beginning of our discussion, what you said, Ron, education. Yeah. We as KMers have to educate ourselves and educate the organization how these new technologies, including AGI, can help us. So when we break everything into components, into the small bricks, what can be done with them in order to provide the new added value? So we have to know what the possibilities are, what are the opportunities. And therefore, we have to, on one hand, educate ourselves, learn, play around with it, feel comfortable with it. And on the other time, at the same time, thinking top down, understanding what is required, being aligned, and as you said, with the business needs and the opportunities and the risks, and then combine it together the same way we did with other technologies. Yet there is here a difference. I think that we as KMers have to be very proud of generative AI, because it not only is speaking about generating content, and yes, Yesha, it generates all kinds of content, but probably we are interested more in generating the text. But it also does what we are shouting already for 25, 30 years. It is saying, don't reinvent the wheel every time again and again. We want to reuse the existing knowledge, but this time it's saying it's not only reusing the knowledge that I had, or my team had, or my organization had, but it's reusing knowledge that the whole, that society had. B, it's using not only reusing knowledge in the simple way, but if I'm going to Bennett and Bennett's definition of wisdom, of the patterns, of the concept, how we develop new knowledge, it's reusing these concepts again and again, and enabling us, therefore, also to develop new knowledge using the concepts that we already used in the past in for different ideas. So therefore, this reuse of knowledge is also developing new knowledge, because we are reusing the concepts of how to develop new knowledge when we enter these needs or these opportunities of digital transformation. So therefore, we should not do it without thinking, but we should do it. We should add in our critical thinking, our creative thinking. We should do it together collaboratively in agile mode, as Art said, step after step in the small loops, but we should do it, and we should encourage the organization to do it. So I think that my suggestion would be, A, learn about the new tools, B, continue working the same way we did with digital transformation, or we advise to do, as with other technologies. C, understand that this is a game changer, so use it even more. And D, please develop the new skills of digital orientation, learning orientation, a critical thinking, creative thinking, agility, and a collaboration. And there, I just want to end, because I see that really time is passing by. I want to relate to you again. When we embed AI, again, augmentation, man-machine, we add 2 bricks or 2 components to the equation. Responsible AI, adding everything you said about ethics, about principles-led, and adding also, where are we leading? And adding also smart AI. Smart AI, doing it in a smart way, with our critical thinking, with our collaborative, with our experts. So if we have smart AI and we have responsible AI, as KMers, we are bringing the human flavor in a very, I think, elegant but effective way. So I don't think that we even have time for questions, but if there's one question, we'll take it, and then rounding words for a last round of closing words. Anyone wants to ask one question? Other things we'll take on our KMGN channel. Okay, so 1 minute for each, or 1.5 minutes for each. Annie, what are your final words? For today.
Yeah, for today. My final words are that we have got to stop being influenced, and we need to realize that biological intelligence supersedes artificial intelligence, because that's what we build it from. That people are very critical, and that we've got to change the mindsets of them, because knowledge is contextual and it needs to be intentional. So we need to think through what we're doing if we're going to do digital transformation, understand how it impacts how we currently operate, understand if there's innovation to it, understand if there's augmentation to it. We need to understand the full spectrum of what we're putting into place. And not only what we're putting into place, we need to have, when we get people into with the education, they need to have the skill sets to perform whatever it is they need to do, and also use the logical sense that they have and common sense. And we also need to have the proper toolkits, which is the technology, so that they can use it adequately in the context that it needs to be used in. We can't right now. So many people say, and I'm going to finish off with this, so many people are fearful that technology will take their jobs. But yet when something like generative AI comes out, they use it irrespective of what the outcome will be. That might even somewhat destroy their jobs, because the integrity is actually compromised. We've got to look at the integrity of what we're doing and ensure quality and safety and everything. So these standards have to be in place as well. So I'm going to close with that. Okay.
Thank you so much, Annie. Yesha, your final words for this discussion?
Huge change is coming. Only way to understand it is to actual experiment. Best experimentation is pay the $20. Then go to a website called Hugging Face. If you're not familiar with Hugging Face, not good. Hugging Face. You will be shocked, because you think it's one system or another, and inside it's like YouTube for thousands of AI models. $20, Hugging Face. It'll make your life simple.
Okay. Thank you, Art.
Yeah, let me follow up with that. Pick up from there. Yeah, the old days of KM. I mean, when I look back and we were doing lessons learned and SharePoint collaboration, that was a walk in the garden. We KMers have got to pick up our game significantly. So yes, pay that $20. Check out Hugging Face, and just echo what Mariah said. Learn new technologies, learn about those tools, and keep upping our skills, because we're definitely going to need that if we are to lead. But this is an opportunity. Let's seize it, but we really need to up our game as KMers.
Thank you, Art. Ron.
Yeah, I'm just going to simply build on that, because I think that's really what it's about. We were talking about knowledge management and technology as a result of things like transformation and digital transformation and discussions like this. I really congratulate on these discussions, because what we as KMers need to do, as Art said, is we need to move from the way we viewed it, recognizing digital transformation, recognizing artificial intelligence. This is a new, extraordinary KM, as far as I'm concerned. There's great roles and responsibilities to be fulfilled, but it's new and extraordinary KM, in my opinion.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Who on our channel here on the Zoom channel, and who are speaking. And thank you all for panelists. Thank you, Vincent, for sitting silent, but behind the scenes doing a lot. And we're waiting to see you all on our next roundtable on September. So look on Eventbrite or on KMGN LinkedIn channel for more details. Professor Eric Tzu will be facilitating. We have a great list of panelists, 5 or 6 panelists. So we'll be waiting for you all. And if you have ideas, what else we want to think here together, to learn here together, to brainstorm here together, please contact Vincent or myself. We are waiting for you. Bye all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Amazing panel.
Bye, Ved.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Manfred, he's still with us? No, I think that he always takes some notes. That's